All right, people. Welcome to our Stories Festival Day 3. We are here by God's grace. It's our virtual day. We've got amazing guests, amazing insight. It's all put together for you guys, to be fair. Like the whole idea of it, as I have been saying, is all about supporting underrepresented talent and creatives in general to really just get and break into the industry, demystify preconceived notions, give keys that you can't really glean, I guess, from like an Oscar speech or like press interviews, like really diving into what's actually going to help you guys. So, I'm very thankful and gracious for all of our amazing guests who are also aligned with that idea of we just want to help and support you because we know what it was like when we were in your position, and these are the issues that you think things are like this, but no, it's really like this, and this is what's actually going to help. That's what this is all about. So just major keys. And we are kicking today off with a bang, a very big bang. We have got an amazing how do I even say this? I feel like you're more than a casting director. She is across, I don't know a medium or an art form that requires actors that she hasn't touched. She's an amazing casting director, award nominated. I'm sure she's won loads of awards that is missing from my mind now. I think, hey, wait, you won an award for the NHS commercial? Yep.
I need to take you everywhere. This is a
this is
what an
like,
introduction.
yeah, no, this is and the beauty is I'm only speaking facts. Like there's no, embellishment here. She does films, she does series, she does adverts, and she does theater, all at the highest level. So yeah, I introduced to you guys Heather Basten. Boop,
Yeah.
boop, 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 boop. Heather, I will jump straight into it because I know you're very busy, and thank you for your time today. Now we know like you cast for everything. But what are the clear differences, if any, between each art form from your perspective?
Um, I guess the clear difference is it might be the process a little bit. When it comes to theatre, for example, it depends on what the project is, but you might find that you have more time in the room, more time to play, more time to explore with a text. And that just might be because of the logistical reason that, when you work in theatre, it is very much a collaborative process
Mhm.
from the start. And sometimes the director might need to see how you play with the text and how you work in the room for a slightly more extended length of time
Mhm.
that you might get for an audition for like film and TV. And
Mm.
it could be, with film and TV, sometimes you just get to set and you do it and you go home and it's very quick. I'm not an actor, and I don't spend any time on set actually, if I
Yeah.
can help it. My job is done, but like that's what I'm told is that it can be very quick paced when you get to set, you do your lines sometimes, and it's all very fast paced. So again, that's we always as casting directors try and give actors the best amount of time to do a strong audition. But that's just something, I guess, one of the differences is if you might be lucky enough to just have a slightly longer or length of audition time for a theatre project than you might do for film and TV.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And with adverts, I guess that's quite interesting because maybe like a lot of the time there's not dialogue. What's the process for that?
Well, I approach every project in the same way, whether it's a 30-second commercial to a 3-hour theatre performance. I think everything in terms of like the quality of the casting process has to be the same. Yeah, I mean, especially if it's like a 20-30 second commercial,
Yeah.
and they're not speaking, it's even more important to really check the range that the director will need from the actor in that short space of time, because in that 20-30 seconds there's still a journey to go on in terms of the story or the character. There surely is some sort of journey to go on. So we're still looking for a range, you know, in that audition process. And so I approach commercials the same way as I would approach any narrative project. You know, we do flesh out a script. It might be a slightly extended script for the sake of casting purposes. Mm-hmm. We sometimes will do improvisation to look at range. We will sometimes do chemistry tests for a commercial. Yeah. So it can be the same as a narrative series. It normally wouldn't be as many auditions. It might not be the same kind of length of time, I guess, but it's definitely in terms of the context of what we do and how we do it. Oh yeah, I mean, I try and everything matters, basically, I guess is the long-winded answer of what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Whether it's a commercial, whether it's you know, you're shooting 5 episodes for a TV series, or a 20-second spot for a commercial.
No, it makes sense. Everything matters, basically. No, I love it. I love it. You know, I guess when an actor gets through to like the audition stage, right? When do you know, like, is there something that happens that, like, you know what, this actor's got what we're looking for, which I know doesn't always necessarily lead to them being casting, but what's that magic moment for you?
Yeah, we're seeking the truth, and then when you see the truth, you just know, because it's the truth. Unless you're casting something that is not the truth, I don't know. And maybe they, you know, maybe that's in the character's arc that they don't need to be, they don't need to be, you know. But ultimately, it's like it happens in life as well. I think you just know the truth when you see it.
Yeah.
And that's why sometimes it's quite hard to articulate certain types of feedback all the time to talent, because we're so lucky in the UK. There's so many brilliant actors over here, and a lot of the time they're auditioning for one role, and it's sometimes quite difficult to articulate the differences between them in their performances, and it's just it can just come down to something as simple as the seeking of the truth, and what is the truth, and what does the truth mean for that director. Everyone's version of the truth is different, but that director is looking for a particular type of truth. And so that's what it is. That's what we're looking for. And that's when we see it, we know what it is.
I love that. I love that. Do you think sometimes, or a lot of the times, actors can mistake not landing an audition or not conveying the truth that aligns with the director's truth as a bad performance?
Do you mean like when they leave the audition?
Yeah, and like, let's say they don't get the role and it's like, oh yeah, it's because it was a bad, and like, yeah, I didn't do this or I didn't do that. But maybe it was a great performance, but it just didn't align with the truth.
Yeah, I think it's so, you know, sometimes this is a hard industry. It's difficult. Firstly, I'd just like to say that I think actors are so resilient. You know, to have that resilience is an amazing trait and skill, and it can be hard when you leave a room not knowing how you've done. I mean, my in terms of how I run the casting room, I will always try and ask the actor, are you happy, before you've left. If
Yeah.
we, as long as we've got time, I'm like to the director, I'm like, are you happy? And then I'll normally go to the actor and I'll go, are you happy? Because just to give people the chance to just speak up if they feel like, oh, you know what, if I've got time, I've got one more in me to just try it. Or, but you know, sometimes the actors are like, yeah, you know what, I'm happy. Sometimes the actors are like, you know what, if you're happy, I'm happy. And sometimes the actors are like, ah, no, you know what, if there's time, can I try it again? So we get, and I get a range, and I just hope that that sometimes can alleviate that feeling of, um, you know, you leaving an actor leaving a room and not feeling like they've done their best.
I love
I guess it can put people on the spot and be like, whoa, is this a trick question? It's not.
Oh, do you know what? I love that. I love that because that is a huge key. And was actually like an amazing segue, right? Because one of the questions and the things that I had in mind was a few years ago, this was quite some years ago now. We were doing like a Q&A with Aisha Bywaters, and she mentioned, right, she said that a lot of the times actors don't really like fully engage with like casting directors in and like the team in an audition. It's like they'll come in, do their audition, and then leave. And she was like, what, like we don't know anything about you, like what, like, and what you said about extending that olive branch, so to speak, of okay, cool, are you happy? um it sounds like you're like, how do you, what advice would you give to actors to make the most of the audition? Because, and I guess that's from the perspective of like etiquette, where okay, maybe they don't want to say too much and it's like, look, we've got an audition to do, but then also like, don't just be closed because we want to get to know who we're potentially working with. So yeah, just tips on like how to make the most from an audition.
um, it's very easy for me to sit here and say, be prepared.
Mm,
Um, because also just well aware that we all have lives and it's not this other lives and other things that we have to do around acting sometimes. So I guess preparation is a bit subjective, but being prepared and just kind of just can alleviate that stress of just thinking about the lines, and then you're able to just think about other things in the room, and it might enable you to be more relaxed and to be able to have a conversation, um, and not be thinking about the the logistics of the work, like the line learning and those things, the kind of hardcore practicalities, and just yeah, allowing you to be creative in the space and to play with the, you know, the text in the room.
yeah,
I think it just grants you a bit more freedom really in the room emotionally. um but like I said, that's again very easy for me to say, being prepared, because it's easy sometimes for some people, it's easier said than done.
yeah,
But I guess you can also, if there's any anxieties about being prepared, um I would always say to perhaps like if there's accessibility requirements and things to help be prepared, like maybe you need more time, um maybe line learning is not, it is tricky for you. I would say, you know, you could, you know, ask your agent, or if you're self-represented, perhaps reach out and ask the question about, is there anything that we can give you to help your preparation? You know, I think for as casting directors, we do try and give as much as we can in terms
yeah,
of notes, like direction from the director and character descriptions and things. But yeah, I feel like preparation is the key thing in terms of being able to then be free in the room and to make the, like get the best use out of the time.
I love that. I love that. Aside from the performance, right, are there any other things that like you you like to find out about the actors alongside the performance?
Uh, I normally ask, oh, where did you travel from? Just kind of interest, because I've just had some wild answers before. Someone, I think someone came from France at one point, but we didn't realize at the time that they were like coming from France, but they wanted to come from France. So I was like, okay. But it's
Right.
just nice kind of yeah, I mean, I just always ask a few questions really just to get a kind of more friendly conversation going before we dive in.
Mhm.
There are some actors that will just want to actually come into a space and they are in the zone. They're just in the mindset of the character, and that's fair, and that's how they work. And so we'll just then, if I kind of sense that,
Mm.
normally I'll ask them and we'll just dive straight in. But yeah, I mean, just getting to know the actor, I think, is a big part of it, you know, because ultimately, and for the actor as well, just getting to know the director, I think is important because you know, you're going to be spending possibly a certain amount of time together on set, just making sure that everyone gets on. Um, and it's hard to do that when we're, you know, things like self tapes now make that a little bit more difficult. But you know, if you do find yourselves in the room at some point, perhaps it's the recall stage, then that's a, you know, really good chance for us to just chat for a few minutes if there's time.
Amazing, amazing. I know a lot of actors, this is amazing by the way. I know a lot of actors like crave feedback. And I know it's not always possible. What is there is there like a particular stage when actors will generally like receive feedback from you? Or is it kind of like, because well, I know you've got so many projects on, but how do you manage that?
Feedback, yeah, it's normally at, you know, if we've met them in the room or
Mhm.
they've had a chance to meet the director, we'll give feedback. Or it might be sometimes we work with amazing directors who actually just write up feedback for everyone as well, and they're just so involved in making sure they maintain those relationships.
Yeah.
So we've done that quite a lot as well, just passing on actual notes. Or it might be just like sometimes we might uh you know, perhaps we've been talking and the actor has shared something, and then we might just feed back to
Mm.
them to just kind of extend on that conversation. Sometimes I'll do that as
Um,
well. Um, but yeah, I'd say normally if we've met them in the room and we've had that time where we've met, then that's normally the place where, you know, if it doesn't go your way,
yeah.
um, I would try to give feedback.
Cool. Perfect. Perfect. So we were talking to Michael Salami. I think it was either last year or at the beginning of this year, right? And he was saying that he was basically done with acting, right? He was done with acting, and he had like he got a call for, I think, what he mentally prepared for is like his last audition, right? And he was like, cool, if this works, then cool. If not, then it's fine. I don't need to act anymore. It's cool. And he said in that audition, it just wasn't happening. And I think he knew the director as well, right? And it just wasn't happening. It wasn't happening. And he said it got to a point, right, where it was like, I think, last chance, right? And he said, you know what, just give me a minute, please. And then he said he just turned around, said a prayer, was just like composed himself, took his time, and then he went again, right? And I think that was a take that he ultimately landed the role. That sounds very touch and go, right? That like having that experience in an audition. And I wanted to know, how do you know when to give an actor another chance? Because time's finite, isn't it? So like, yeah, I just wanted to know your thoughts on like a situation like that.
The way I personally like to try and give an actor at least 2 goes per scene.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like sometimes the first take is a bit of a warm up at
Mm.
times. It's
Yeah.
like after, and you find that actually the second take and beyond is when they've really, you know, got into the swing of it. You know? So
Mm.
I think it's, I mean, it kind of comes down to scheduling. Like we'll always make sure that we schedule enough time
Yeah.
to get a strong enough performance.
Okay. Okay.
Whether we feel like that's 15 minutes, 20 minutes, it might seem short, but as long as we, you know, we kind of understand the mechanics of it and how much time we'll need and how long the scene will take.
Yeah.
And I, you know, I factor in stuff like having a chat and all those sorts of things, saying hi and saying bye, and how long is that going to take? So we kind of try and factor that all in.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say we do give, I do give enough time for those second goes.
Okay. Okay.
In terms of how I know like when to give a second go, I normally just do it.
Okay.
As long as there's again, as long as I've scheduled the time
Yeah.
right. Sometimes you don't need to give a second, you don't need to do a second take. Sometimes you don't need to do a second take, and they just land it on the first take.
Okay.
And
Okay.
doing and doing the second take would just be redundant,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
especially for the actor if they feel like they've just nailed it.
Yeah.
So many confident actors out there who've been like, do you know what? No, I'm happy with that. Yeah, and
Really?
I'm like, well, I'm happy with that as well. So let's just run with that.
Wow. So
Yeah.
wait, are you allowed to say that you're happy with that in an audition? Or does that give too much of an inkling of like, oh, well, you know, we might want you?
I think there's it's just like a dance. It's a dance, and if we feel like we need to go again, you know, as actors, I'm sure actors will take that on board. And
Mm.
equally, if they've, you know, it's about listening, and like if I hear actors say, you know what, they feel so happy with that one.
Yeah.
As long as I know that there's nothing that we're missing from internal notes and just
Yeah.
my conversations with the director who might not be there.
Yep. Yep.
There might be things that, you know what, actually, we talked about this. I talked about this with the director. So I need to give them this note.
Okay.
Are
Yep.
they feel happy with it? I just need to tweak it for this purpose. As long as it's like a dance.
Yeah.
You know what I
Okay.
mean, it's like we work together and we listen. There's a lot of listening going on. I keep saying the word play because I think we do it. We're playing in a very highly skilled way.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
And
Yep.
that's what it is. It's very like it's yeah, we're working together.
Do you know what? I'm so happy you touched on that because that yeah, that was a word that I picked up that you're using quite a lot. Do you feel like because I guess whilst it's play, it's also very high stakes, right? So do you feel like enough actors effectively play in an audition as opposed to thinking in the back of their mind, I need to land this or I really want this?
That's a difficult question because I'm not, you know, I'm not in whoever I'm auditioning, I'm not in their head. So I don't know what
True.
they're thinking. But
Yeah. Yeah.
knowing the nature of the industry, there are nerves.
Mm.
There is self-doubt, and then there's the other, it's a whole spectrum of things. There's confidence and there's self-belief and there's all these things. I don't know. Sometimes I can sense when someone is nervous.
Okay.
And I can sense that. And I can sense that maybe they're thinking about other stuff in the back of their mind. But other times I wouldn't be able to tell if someone is thinking, oh, I hope I land this, or am I doing this
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Um, Perhaps that's a skill in itself. I don't know. But I guess the key thing to remember is that we want you to do well.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're all
Yeah.
playing for the same team.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. So I guess that's auditions, right? With regards to self-tapes, like I know they're so much popular than they were like 5 or 10 years ago, but given they're not the audition stage yet, what are the key things you're looking for in like a self-tape?
So yeah, I mean the evolution of self-tape is something that's happened in the last few years. And where we end up as an industry down the line, I'm not sure yet. What was the question? Sorry, it's kind of out of my head.
No, it's cool. Like,
Go on, give it one more time.
all good, all good. So like with self-tapes,
Yeah.
what are the key things that you're looking for, given they're not like the final audition? Yeah.
What we're looking for. So, I mean, sometimes it depends. Early on in COVID, they were the final audition. It was like when it was COVID, we were just doing everything online and casting whole feature films online and stuff. Because we weren't allowed to, you know, go out and do things how we normally would do it.
Did
But
that ever go wrong?
well, not for me, but no, I say not for me lightly, but like it's
Yeah.
not, you know, it's you have to adapt. We were just
Yeah.
adapting at a really fast, unnatural way, I'd
Yeah.
say. It was pretty
Yeah.
unnatural, rapid
Mhm.
adjustment. And especially for directors, you know, not getting to meet people.
True.
But what we're looking for, it's with self-tapes, I'm very much only looking for an essence of the character. I'm never looking for a polished performance. I think that's important to say, because really, again, we need to have this dance in the room. It needs to be the director giving notes. We need to see how you take the notes. You need to be able to ask questions, get a back and forth going. So what in a self-tape, looking for, if it's the first round, for example, we're looking for an essence of the character. You know, during lockdown times, we'd follow up with things like a Zoom, just something as live as possible.
Yeah.
You know, whilst we couldn't be physically together in the room, just how can we recreate that? And Zoom was the best way. But yeah, self-tapes, just an essence. Just could they develop this with some direction, or with, you know, with being in the room? Could they? Yeah.
Love that. I love that. I love that. And my final question, right? Now you cast for the already classic Dreaming Whilst Black, the full series as well as the pilot. Congratulations on that already. Going to Showtime. It's like it's amazing. Like what was that like? Like, I really want to know what was that like, because you were there from the very, very beginning of this side of the journey, in terms of like, all right, cool, no, we're BBC now, like we're here. And that is such a key pivotal point for that project, or for this project, long may it continue. So I want to know what it was like at that very early stage.
There's some projects when you just read it and you just know, like you're like, this is going to be amazing. And when I got the script through for Dreaming Whilst Black, this was literally one of those projects, and I'd seen the web series anyway, so I was like, wow, okay. At the very first stage was just to cast a read through, just do a live read through. We're just going to read the script of, you know, they've written a pilot episode. We're going to cast it. We were in a little theatre in Islington somewhere, theatre or church hall somewhere. And it was that thing of, you know, just trying to cast a read through, but ultimately, where possible, we would try and take the cast with us where possible, and where it felt right to do so.
Yeah.
So you're kind of casting with the longevity of this could turn into something much bigger. So again, it comes back to that thing where I say everything matters, but everything does matter, even if it's a read through in Islington. Like for me, in my job anyway, I'm always thinking ahead. What could this be? What's the journey of this project? So yeah, it was amazing, really. You know, it was just finding amazing actors who were willing to come to a paid read through, with the prospect of this is what it could be.
Yeah.
Are you on board for the wild ride, the journey? And yeah, like we had like, you know, Alexander Owen has been there from the start.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously Danny mostly, obviously, because she's from the web series.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but yeah, there's, you know, we just like Demi, who plays Quabana's best friend, again, there from the very beginning. Um, and I'm just very grateful to them, I think, for for trusting the project as well, because you do put your trust in it.
Yep,
You
yep.
don't know where it's going to go. Um, and yeah, I'm happy it paid off. And then obviously the people, you know, with the pilot came from that read through. And BBC were on board, and then A24 joined on board after that for the 6 episodes. And here we are, Showtime, and wherever else it might go. Yeah,
Oh man.
it's one of the best projects I've ever worked on, and I think that's just because Ajani is just incredible as a leader. He would never call himself a leader. He'd probably kill me for saying that on a Zoom. But like, just it's like a family. It is like he's built like a family where everyone felt safe to voice their opinions constructively, to put their own part of them into the show. It was just that space, you know. Me and Ajani could just talk about casting, you know what I mean, just talk about it fluently, just yeah. So it's been an amazing journey. So I'm very, very grateful.
As are we, as are
Oh.
we, as are we. I'm telling you, I'm telling you, I'm telling you. I guess, right? In closing,
Mm.
what, and especially with like a show like Dreaming Whilst Black, right, which has got a lot of new actors, a lot of people that have been doing it for some time, but it's not led by the cast, it's led by the story and like the whole, like if you know what I mean, you know, like when a film will have The Rock in, it's like you're going to see that. It's like this thing, the story, everything around it is,
Everything.
yeah, do you know what I mean? So with that being said, and the wide range of actors that were involved in it, right? It feels like anyone had a chance to potentially be involved in it, right? What advice would you give to actors who are like emerging and see a show like that and like, do you know what? I would love to be in a Dreaming Whilst Black, or a project that is of that ilk.
I'd say keep your ears to the ground and just see what's bubbling. See if you can, like, you know, when I was coming up in the industry, I used to just be online. What's being made? What's happening? Who's commissioning what? I'm doing the snooping online, like looking at what's been greenlit, looking at this and that. And I didn't know what I was doing, but like now, you know, you can look on IMDb, you can look on all these like websites. There's like Variety, Deadline, Hollywood, all these things, and they don't just cover the big Hollywood budget stuff. They cover the indies, and they cover everything. They cover the Dreaming Whilst Blacks, the whole, yeah, the stages of watching it grow. So just keep your ears to the ground, I'd say, and see what's out there. Try and do your homework and try and be kind of self-sufficient in that way and being proactive. Knowledge is power. So I think like the more knowledge you can gather of what's out there, who's doing what, who's an exciting director that I want to work with, gather that knowledge and kind of, yeah. And then I feel like you can put in some emails and some like well-informed emails, you know, with
Yeah.
intention. Yeah, because you've done your homework, you've done the work, and like, yeah, that would be my advice.
Thank you, thank you. Please take notes, people. Heather, thank you so much. This is a great way to kick off the festival. Yes, thank you.